Alright, so today I'm gonna make a video on Kikokugai, the visual novel written by UROBUCHI again himself. And for all of you young children out there, I'm sure that name rings some bells because, you know, he did write for Madoka. And, what was that show called again? You know, the one with the guns that were made to assassinate people or something? You know what I'm talking about. Everybody wore suits, and there was that one spiky-haired dude with that one short-haired bitch. I'm trying to remember. Well, whatever. If you know his name, you know the name of that shit. I never watched it, so obviously I don't remember it that well. But this visual novel is written by him. And before reading it, I knew that, and I was like, fuck. This is gonna be some fucked up shit, man. I mean, if you know anything about that boy Gen, pretty fucked up. If you've ever read Saya no Uta, which was also written by that motherfucker, which is probably by far the most fucked up thing I've read that he's written so far. But I knew that I was not in for the average story here. But even knowing that could not have prepared me for the fucked up thing I was coming to and I was gonna have to endure. But all that aside, if you do want to read this visual novel, please do know that there are spoilers in this review. And if you wish to, I guess, read it on your own, then you probably shouldn't watch the video that says Kikokugai review. But if you don't care about spoilers and you want to read anyway, then you can just go ahead and just watch this video. Or if you just love watching me talk about fucking Japanese debauchery, then by all means, sit down and relax and listen to my review of Kikokugai. Now, the setting is futuristic China, basically, where, you know, anybody worth anything has cybernetic implants, you know, that whole fucking futuristic Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner sort of setting. And there are like two schools of fighting in this continuum, in this universe that UROBUCHI has created. And there's basically people who are using their inner chi to fight nerds, and there are people who are using their outer chi to fight nerds. But however, one day, with the advancement of cybernetic implants, the people who use their inner chi were no longer valuable in the battle. And ever since then, the world has changed. Now, the story starts off with the main character walking with a little girl down a street, and you know, wait, no, actually, no, it doesn't. The fucking story starts off with this big guy with huge cybernetic arms fucking the shit out of this Chinese bitch. And I'm sitting here like, whoa, I know sex is in fucking visual novels. I mean, I'm no stranger to it. In fact, I look forward to the scenes, unless they're written by Nasu or unless they're in Demon Bane. But if that isn't the case, then I'm all for it. And now, well, I guess there was that one scene in Demon Bane I liked because I really like that owl chick, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, the story starts off like him just fucking the shit out of this bitch, and he's just like, oh yeah, hell yeah. And I'm like, damn, well, isn't this an all ages game? What the hell's going on? And it turns out that it's a sex doll that has human emotions in it. And I'm like, a sex doll with human emotions? And it gives you the whole fucking thing. You can make him look pleasurable, you can make him look scared, if that's what gets you turned on, you know, as it does probably a lot of people, not including myself, of course. And yeah, you can pretty much, there's like a huge range of variety you can do with those types of dolls. But apparently, the only fucking way to get the actual accurate emotion of a human being is to do something where you basically burn the data from a person's brain into one of those sex dolls. And just starting off the story like that, I was like, oh man, what the fuck is Gen doing? What am I about to read? And, you know, he fucks out of this bitch and he has a smoke like any decent man does after a nice session. And he's thinking to himself about the guy. He's like, man, I tell you, that so-and-so's sister sure was a nice catch. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? And basically it turns out that the main villains raped the main character's girlfriend, right? And not girlfriend, sorry, sister. Well, what's the difference in Japanese media anyway? But yeah, they raped his sister and they all split they split her personality and all different aspects of her, I guess, sexuality or something, into like different dolls. I forget how many of them there were, because I read this about a few months ago, but it was about 5 or 7 of those motherfuckers, and I was like, damn, that's pretty fucked up. And all of the main villains are basically fucking the main character's sister. And so the main character shows up to this guy's brothel, right? And he's just chilling, looking like a chuny beast. He had his fucking cloak on and everything with his sword, but he puts his sword down and he's like, I'm here for service. You give me your best doll. And this motherfucker, he wants to please his customers because he's got to pay for his cybernetic implants. That shit don't come cheap. So he's like, all right, son, what you looking for the best I got? And he brings out the doll that has the guy's sister's data put into it. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And the main character gets a hold of it and he's like, you don't recognize me, do you? And I'm like, the fuck? And the guy's like, no, man, the fuck you talking about? But as it turns out, if you get cybernetic implants put into your brain, there's only a certain amount of data you can keep in there. And if you don't routinely meet a person over a certain amount of time, you eventually kind of forget about them. And the main character was thought to be dead, as he reveals here. He's like, oh, you motherfuckers, I came to get revenge on you. You raped my sister, and I'm pissed. And I guess I was like, okay, I can roll with that. That's a fucking fair motivation, right? Your sister gets raped, and you got a bunch of chuny powers with a fucking sword. You might as well go to get revenge on those motherfuckers. And so, but of course, this guy is way stronger than him, man. But the main character is human. He doesn't have any cybernetic implants. But what it turns out is that he has another chuny power where he can discharge electricity from his right hand, which automatically, as you know, would fuck up anything like that. So, they're cyborgs, so they get fucked when he discharges into them. That sounded completely wrong. But when he discharges into them, they get fucked and he gets basically an instant kill. So it's really interesting, like the way the fights work, like the main character sort of like dodging, working his way around, dodging shit, making sure he can't get hit until he gets a fucking clear shot where he can put his hand on them and he can electrocute the ever-loving shit out of them. And boy, does he get that motherfucker. And then he takes that piece and he connects it to his, because he has I forgot to bring this part up because I'm a bad reviewer, but he basically has been walking around with this emotionless doll with him that he got from a professor who somehow knew about this whole thing. And he was like, yes, you're looking to bring your sister back to life after she was raped and killed and split into 5 different pieces. But let me tell you, I can help you do that with this blank doll here. And the guy's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Well, basically, if you go around and you kill all the people who raped your sister and copied her data, you can possibly bring her back. But I'm not sure if it'll work. It's a fucking trial run, baby. But you gotta make sure what else you got? And of course, the scientist is like, he's basically just doing this because he wanted to, just try. It's an experiment for him, so he doesn't care. But what it turns out was the main villain, which is the main character, Kong Taolo's, his bro, I forget his name, because I'm not good at memorizing Chinese names, man. But his bro, he betrayed Kong, and he killed that motherfucker. Or he tried to kill him. But that's where this whole Left 4 Dead revenge story started. But because that's why the scientist has that data. So, because the main villains, they came over there and he was like, yo, man, we got this sweet ass data. We raped this one bitch and we trying to copy that shit. Can you help us? So, yeah, that's where that part comes in. But basically, so the main character goes around, he's like fucking up all these assassins. I'm not going to go towards the entire story because it's going to take all day. But he fucks up all these assassins, doing all this dirty shit. He basically gets framed for killing the leader of the syndicate, which is pretty much what started the whole fucking, we got to take this guy out. He's back for revenge. He wants us dead. And there's a nice little fucking plot thread that they throw at you there. And they're like, well, I suppose from his perspective, we would be the sister's killers, wouldn't we? And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? So as he kills a few more of the chuny motherfuckers, the chuny cyborg beasts, he eventually gets his sister gets enough of her emotion back to be, because she starts off as a child and she gets like that one piece back and another piece back. She becomes more of a teenager and then she becomes more of a woman when he gets another piece. And after he like almost dies and he's coughing up blood, and he kills two. He uses his chuny palm on two people at the same time because he was fighting some beastly twins with tonfas or whatever. He's like, he's in pain, obviously, and his sister's like, "Oh, are you in pain, big brother?" And I was like, yeah, I guess he is. He's coughing up blood. And I was like, oh, well, okay, whatever, typical shit. But all of a sudden, she starts making out with the motherfucker while he's coughing up blood, tongue and mouth and everything. And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And, the sister's like, well, brother, I was used to being used by a lot of people, and they would usually be really rough and abusive with me, but every time I did something like this, they felt better. So if I do this to you, maybe you'll feel better too. And I'm like, Urobuchi Gen, you depraved fuck. Who even writes that type of shit? But you'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Okay, it's just so mentally damaged that, she's making out with her brother to heal him from her perspective. But it turns out that the main character, as a professional assassin of a Chinese syndicate organization, you don't got a lot of time to be messing around with your sister because, you gotta go around killing motherfuckers. And he didn't really spend that much time with his sister, or she was jealous because he wasn't around her that much, and because he's always training and shit like that. And it turns out that she asked the main villain to have him and his boys gang rape her and then split up her personality so that she could experience hell, so that she could force her brother to fucking save her. And I'm like, what? So basically an entire organization crumbles. The main character is killing himself literally because every time he used that discharge shit, it basically shaves years off of his life. All because he didn't fuck his sister. So basically, the whole story happens because the main character didn't fuck his sister. I'd say that's a bad twist technically, but it was so enjoyable getting to that point. I'm not really pissed about it. And I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. And also the Emoto is voiced by Tamura Yukari, and I got a weakness for that voice of hers. And there was this one scene where there was like a half of her shit put into one doll and half of her shit put into another doll. And while the main character's fighting the main villain, and the main villain's over here fighting the main character's like, it's all your fault she suffered. You never fucked your sister, and this is why this happened. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is that how that goes? Is that the moral of this story here? If you don't bang your sister, bad things happen. I've heard a lot of weird morals from Japan, but that's a first. And there's a scene where there's two Tamura Yukaris, and they're basically Tamura Yukaris, and they're basically, getting each other off, just thinking about how their brother is dying and fighting for them. And I'm just like, man, this bitch is fucked up. But on the other hand, I'm getting a nice self-cess scene with two Tamura Yukaris. So I'm not really upset. It was a weird read, but I don't regret it. It was 4 or 10 hours, whatever. Pretty decent visual novel. Glad I read it. Pretty fun. Remember, kids, if you don't fuck your sister, bad things are gonna happen to you, I guess.